Alright, so we are back here with Dylan from The Pursuit with Dylan. Yesterday we did a tour video of his van and talked a little bit about how it's a good idea to do kind of a really simple, just barely enough build on your van before you invest a bunch of money and time into it, to gain some practical knowledge of how everything's going to work and what you like and need and everything. So in this video we're going to do a little interview because that one got a little long, and we're going to talk about his experience living in a van and why he's doing it and how it's changed his life, and yeah, whatever else comes up. So why are you living in a van? What's the point of this?
Well, it starts back. I wasn't really. I never traveled really, being younger. I didn't go to my first foreign country until I was 18, and before that I'd only traveled up and down the East Coast. And I was, at the time of my life I decided to do the van life. I was looking for a place to live, and I also wanted to travel more. So I almost closed on a house at one point, actually, with a stable 9-to-5 job, which actually ended up being like an 8-to-7 job because no one really works a 9-to-5 anymore. But I ended up looking at houses. I almost closed on a house, and then I actually stumbled on your channel and a couple other van life, just vehicle dwelling channels, and I saw it as an opportunity to travel in the West Coast, and it reminded me of a dream I had when I was 16 in high school, or I wasn't even 16 yet because I couldn't drive. I remember having my permit and thinking, like, man, when I can drive, I want to buy a bus and I want to take a road trip across the country and go see California. I've never been to the West Coast before, and that was before like van life was a thing. Like, it's always been in popular culture, but that in my idea of it then, when I was 15 years old, 16 years old, was different than like what it's grown into on YouTube. It's become like a lifestyle and a movement. So I kind of like everything came together for me at once. I had an idea, and it was I could travel and have a place to live and live by my own rules and see all the places I was tired of looking at these places that I wanted to go see in person on a calendar on my cubicle. I felt like I was in a prison. So yeah, for sure. So I just hit the road.
How old are you now?
25.
Okay. What were once you did it, what are some of the obstacles you faced?
I thought that I was more of a loner type of person, but the more I was on the road by myself, I realized that I crave and need human interaction, but it has to be on my terms. Like, a lot like you, I see myself as an introvert, but I also thrive on relationships and meeting new people and having new experiences. So finding a balance between staying in my van and being a recluse and going out and meeting any person while maintaining a certain safety about meeting new people, that was a struggle for me at first. But one of the bigger ones was dealing with the anxiety of feeling like I was doing something wrong when I wasn't. And I don't know where that stigma came from, if it was just me overcoming something that didn't exist in my head. But even parking in places where I would allow to be parked, I was worried that I would get a knock and be woken up in the middle of the night for some reason. I was super anxious about that. And it's over time, you almost embrace that sense of adventure that comes along with the unknown.
So how long have you been doing this now?
I left and hit the road in the middle of May, so
this year?
Yeah, so I just passed my 7th-month mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So you said you had kind of an anxiety about parking and finding a place to park and getting woken up. Is that also sometimes exciting? That feeling of feeling like you're doing something wrong or that you're not supposed to?
I think now it is. I think I've grown a lot as a person being on the road, and it's shifted from this I can't sleep to, oh man, like I'm doing something, like you said, I'm doing something a little wrong with, I might get woken up, and I'll have to explain myself. But I've gotten the knock a few times now, and I've noticed that usually these people, the security guards, they're more interested in what you're doing, and sometimes they want to talk to you in the middle of the night about what you're doing. About it. And they're more interested, and they've always been super polite. I haven't had an interaction with anybody that's knocked. I've only got 2 knocks now, but they've always been really polite and almost apologetic about it. So I think that the initial fear of like running into somebody angrily banging on your door just is left because it hasn't happened.
Yeah. Once you have actual evidence, your mind kind of shuts up about it.
Yeah.
What's been the best part of it so far? Like how have you grown as a person because of this adventure that you're on?
I am a lot more outgoing in the sense of like going up and talking to strangers. Before, I was a little socially awkward and felt uncomfortable meeting new people. But when you're driving down a beautiful road like 101 along the Oregon coast and stop off at a Vista, and you see someone else and living out of their van or doing a road trip too, it becomes pretty easy to make new friends. So I just telling my story over and over to different people, telling them what I'm doing, just being friendly with people, picking up on social cues, not like holding people in hostage conversations for too long. I feel like I've learned and grown a lot in that aspect of van life, because I get to meet a variety of different people every single day and from different places. And
how has your happiness level changed from living in a van and driving all around the place and adventuring all the time versus living in a house and working or going to college or whatever?
I think that's an important aspect of this whole life that isn't talked about a lot on social media. That this life is glamorized a lot, and women is used as sexual objects to try to sell this lifestyle. But sorry, one more time. What was your question?
How has your happiness level changed overall living in a van compared?
I was borderline like depressed, and then have like borderline mental breakdown before I actually hit the road. I was sitting at a desk, and I had job security, which I thought was important to me at the time. But I realized that I'm embracing that insecurity of not knowing like when my next paycheck is going to be, not knowing where I'm going to wake up.
Look at the hummingbird. Look at the hummingbird. Oh, it's gone. Sorry.
It's all right. I forgot your question again.
I'm sorry, dude. I saw that hummingbird and I was so...
I feel like I haven't gotten to my point yet, though.
Happiness. Are you overall more happy now that you've been on the road than you were?
Yeah, I was battling depression, working a job, a 9-to-5 job, living in a house, and now I'm honestly, I'll pull up to like a site like Yosemite or something for the first time, and I'm so overwhelmed with emotion and feeling of like the grandness of things. I've never seen something as big as like a canyon or like Yosemite Valley, and some of those structures and like the beauty of nature has been, it feeds my happiness almost. Like being out in nature, going on hikes, being active, working at a desk all day, like you start to lose it a little bit mentally and physically. I gained so much weight working a regular desk job, and now I'm able to, when I'm physically active, I'm very happy. It stimulates me mentally. As physical activities, they challenge me mentally, because I'm pushing myself. I'm reaching a threshold of I'm hiking up a mountain and I can't breathe and my legs are burning, and I'm not at the top yet, but I know that I can push through that barrier, and I know it's only mental, not physical.
For sure.
Like those are obstacles I've never would have faced sitting at a desk, and life's a lot simpler just living out of your vehicle.
It's also more complicated.
Yeah.
At the same time,
there's definitely, you're right.
Especially in the beginning, there's so many things you got to figure out. Where's it okay to park? Where's it not? Where do I get water? Where do I go to the bathroom? There's so many questions that never come up when you live in a house or apartment that do in a van. I think the first year or so for me, and I'm still learning things all the time. The first year or so for me had a lot of stress around those basic questions. How do I get money? This and that. So in that way, it was a lot harder, because I mean, you could just go to a job, you go there every 2 weeks, you get paid, you pay your rent, you pay your bills, and that's it. Maybe you go out to eat, maybe you go see friends, go see a movie sometimes, whatever. So in that way, because it's a little more complicated, it's more stimulating. So every day you have to make new decisions on the fly, right? Yeah, and so
I'm a person that's very indecisive, and that's actually one way I've grown on this trip. Is like I'm forced into decisions now, and it's been a great developmental relationship with me, living out of the van and being forced into these decisions. I used to just be like, what's it called? Something paralysis. Like there's a word for it, where you're so overwhelmed by making a decision, you're just you're frozen and you don't make one. But you don't have that luxury living on the road.
No, you do not. You have to make decisions constantly. And for me, because it's visually stimulating, it's all my senses are constantly being stimulated. Where in a house or a job or whatever, you go to familiar places constantly, you stop looking at things, you stop seeing things because your brain just shuts it off. It's looking for newness because that's how we stay alive. You know, we look for newness to see that lion that's about to attack us or the snake that's going to bite us or whatever. So for me, that constant stimulation and constant changing, it makes life a little bit more of a roller coaster because it's not always awesome. Sometimes it's really scary. Sometimes you go into an unknown, out here there's bark scorpions and rattlesnakes and mosquito hawks and all these unknown dangers I don't really know about because I didn't grow up here. I don't know what it's like living in the desert, really.
It's that unknown.
It's a kind of a roller coaster, and overall I just feel so much more alive. Would you say that that's true for you? Do you identify with that?
Yeah, that feeling of overwhelming I was trying to describe is that's one way I would describe it, is just being in touch with the moment of I don't know, it's hard to describe before you like stand before something. Like just the view we're looking at out right now is it's breathtaking. And
let me give you guys a little pan of it while we talk. Yeah, it's pretty stunning out here.
In some ways it's simpler, in some ways it's more difficult. I think the important thing you have to ask yourself is, what are you willing to sacrifice? Because in whatever life you're living, you're going to be sacrificing something. Whether you're living in a house or a van, you're either living in a van and living an adventure every day, but you still have the uncertainty of where you're going to sleep, where you're going to shower, where you're going to be able to prepare your food, because you may find somewhere to park, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good place for you to be able to cook, because you got to open up your vent fan, or maybe your lights are shining through some part of your van windows. But whether you're living in a van or a house, you're going to be making some sort of sacrifice. So you got to ask yourself what sacrifices you're willing to make. Do you want financial security, or do you want that sense of adventure? Are you feeling a little depressed and feeling like you want to go travel? This is a really inexpensive way to do it. I saved a good amount of money to be able to do this, but really my only living expense is insurance and gas and food. And with that in mind, once you cover the cost of building a vehicle, you can, and this doesn't have to be permanent. Not everybody, it's not permanent for everybody. Not everybody wants to do it.
I think the majority of people do it for about a year and then they realize it's not for them. But some people, it is so them, and they just didn't know it until they did it, that there's no way they can stop. I may get a house where I can go and chill out and just like set up new businesses. Like I learn and do things obsessively. Like I obsess about something and just go full blast and do it. That's how I do things. That's how I learn about things. So to have a house where it's comfortable, where I can just take a shower and make my life as easy as possible, just focus on that one thing and bust it out, would be really nice. But after a month or two, I'm going to get sick of that, and I'm going to need newness. I'm going to need the constant change and stimulation and everything else. What are the biggest mistakes you've made? Have you done anything that you regret besides the build? I mean, in the living part. Like, have you parked somewhere and learned some really valuable lesson the hard way or anything like that?
I haven't had like any bad experiences, and the only bad experience I've had was with a person, and that was unforeseeable. Someone thought I was recording them on my camera, and you just kind of give those people a shoulder, figuratively, and walk away.
They're everywhere.
I haven't really had a bad experience. A lot of the battles I have are self-inflicted. I feel like they're internal struggles, dealing with things that are non-existent, really. And I feel like a lot of your earlier videos go into the psychology and the hardships, the changing of perspectives and the way you're living when you're first getting on the road. And I feel like even though I've been on the road for 6-7 months now, I'm still going through some of the psychological. I'm like, my brain's being rewired, the way I live and the way they see the world and people. I'm more trusting in people now after getting out there and just meeting people. Like,
it's crazy, right? Because if you watch the news, all it is chaos and death and destruction and violence, and then you come out here and everybody's like so nice, man. Just probably like 98% of people I meet in person are so nice. People on the internet in the comment section, that's a different story. But well, for some of them, most of my commenters are freaking awesome. I love you guys, but there's a few of them that are like, dude, people, you don't ever meet people like that in real life, though. You know what I mean? Like, people are so cool, and like so quick to help you out in general. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. So let's do a rep. Did you want to say something?
No,
Go ahead.
I don't feel like I answered your question well as far as I gave a cop-out answer saying I didn't make a mistake. The only thing I can really think of is build-wise. I feel like I dumped a little bit too much money. I feel like I could have been a little bit more conservative with my power setup. Spent a little bit too much money on batteries and solar panels. I probably could have done with one less battery and one less solar panel. So just like we were saying at the beginning of this, be a little conservative at first. I heard that in videos when I was building out mine, and I didn't want to listen to it. It's like I didn't want to listen to the 12-volt fridge advice. But trust me, go thinner at first. You don't want to spend a bunch of money on something you're not going to use. I have a 500 generator in the back of my vehicle that I haven't used. I have an AC unit in the back that I didn't purchase, but I still haven't used it. So that's something that I thought I would have wanted before I realized. So luckily it was a free mistake, but I don't feel like the cameras are a super important thing. I would rather have like power locks and an alarm than have like security cameras. And other than that, like like parking or something like that, I can't think of anything. Just be smart. Use your street smarts. Don't park in bad neighborhoods. We were talking about looking out for bars on windows and cash checking stations. And be respectful if you're staying at a Walmart. Don't leave your trash out, and don't ruin it for future campers and travelers to come. Ask permission or look up on campsites for someone that's been there recently to see if it's okay to stay in that spot.
Yeah, definitely asking for permission at Walmart every time. I used to do it, and then I kind of just stopped because I figured if there's RVs there, it's okay. But last time we did that, we almost got towed. Like, we were that close to getting towed. If Evie wasn't awake and like ready to go, we would have gotten towed. So that would have sucked. But let's try a rapid fire thing. How do you feel about that? I'll say a word, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Freedom.
Oh, the wide open American road.
Okay. Slavery.
Oh man, a desk job.
Debt.
Oh, student loans. I still am trying to pay those off.
Hear that. Happiness.
Oh, it's a journey. It's not really a destination. You're always in pursuit of it, and if you think you've obtained it, then that feeling's gonna wear off. You gotta constantly be chasing your goals and your dreams to have happiness. And if you think you're gonna just get there and not have to work for it, and you're just gonna be able to relish in happiness, that's not what happiness is. It's a literal journey.
Interesting. I have a totally different definition to that.
Yeah.
Oh. Cool. That's interesting. I like that though. Blue.
The color of my eyes. It was my favorite color for the first half of my life.
Van.
Oh, I never thought I'd be living out of a van on a road, and I would like something like a Sprinter, something a little. I don't know. This van at least doesn't handle very well, so I would like something that handles a little better.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm literally just looking at things and naming them off now. So I think we're gonna stop here. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Love yourself.